There is a number attached to your name right now. You didn't choose it. You weren't asked about it. You weren't even told when it changed. But every bank, every landlord, every car dealership, they've already seen it. Before you said a word, before you smiled, before you explained anything. That number is your credit score. And depending on what it says, the world treats you like two completely different human beings. This is your life at every level of credit score, from 300 to 850. The number on the screen is 312. You didn't even know it could go that low. The loan officer reads it out loud, quietly, the way doctors deliver news they don't want to repeat. You're sitting across from a desk that feels too wide. The chair you're in is slightly too low. Everything in this room was designed to remind you which side of the table you're on. You applied for $800. Not $80,000, not a mortgage, not a luxury. $800 to fix your car, to get to work, to keep the job that's supposed to eventually fix all of this. Denied. Not a let's explore your options, not a come back with a cosigner, just denied. The algorithm made the decision in 4.2 seconds. It didn't feel anything. It never does. You sit in your car in the parking lot afterward. You don't cry. You're past crying. This isn't the first time. It won't be the last. You just sit there, hands on the wheel, engine off, staring at the dashboard until the feeling passes. The feeling doesn't have a name. It's somewhere between shame and rage and exhaustion. The particular cocktail that comes from trying, really trying, and still ending up here. You call the bank to ask why. The hold music plays for 22 minutes. 22 minutes of a saxophone covering a song you half recognize, while you stand in the parking lot outside your own life, waiting for someone to tell you something you already know. When someone finally answers, they read from a script. They're sorry, they can't discuss specifics. There's a dispute number you can call. That number has its own hold queue. You hang up. Here is the thing nobody says out loud. At 312, the system isn't ignoring you. That would almost be better. It sees you, clearly, completely, and it has decided that the most profitable thing it can do with you is charge you for the privilege of being broke. Every product designed for the score has a fee attached. Every fee makes the climb harder. Every harder climb makes the fees more likely. The math is circular. It was designed to be. 524. You got here by paying a collections account you'd been avoiding for 2 years. It took 4 months of eating less to clear it. 4 months of saying no to things that cost money, which, when you're broke, is almost everything. And the reward is a $300 secured credit card, backed by your own $300. The bank lends you your own money, charges you 29.99% interest if you carry a balance, calls it a credit building product. You take it, because at 524, this is the ladder. You don't get to question the rungs, you just climb. The apartment application comes back with conditions. You read the paper twice, standing in the hallway of the property management office because you need to make sure you're understanding correctly. The woman behind the desk watches you read. She's patient. She's seen this before. Cosigner required, or 3 months up front, or both. You don't have a cosigner. You don't have 3 months up front. You find the 3 months. You don't ask how, you just find it. You sign the lease on a Tuesday afternoon. You drive home and sit in the parking lot of your new building. You should feel relieved. 580. The credit report says fair. You screenshot it. You send it to your mother. She sends back a heart emoji. She doesn't understand exactly what it means, but she knows it's up, and up is good. You don't tell her what fair actually costs. The car loan gets approved at 14.9% APR. You're sitting at the dealer's desk, and the finance manager slides the paper across with the confidence of someone who already knows you're going to sign it. You look at the number, 14.9. You do the math in your head. You've gotten good at doing uncomfortable math in your head. Over the life of this loan at 14.9%, you'll pay $6,400 more than the person who bought this exact car from this exact dealer last Thursday. Same car, same lot, same salesman probably. Different number next to their name. You sign because you need the car. That's the part that breaks something small inside you. Not the rate, not the extra $6,400, it's the signing. The quiet, necessary, completely rational act of signing a document that costs you more than it should because your options are exactly two: sign or don't have a car. And don't have a car isn't actually an option. At 580, progress is real. The humiliation is also real. Both things are true at the same time. The score remembers who you were. The rate charges you for it every month for 5 years. 670. No announcement, no ceremony, no letter from the bank saying things are different now. But they are. The credit card offer arrives in the mail, and for the first time, it doesn't feel like a trap. $5,000 limit, no annual fee, a rewards program. You read it 3 times. You check the fine print for the catch. There isn't one. Or rather, the catch is just be a normal customer. Pay on time, don't carry too much. That's it. You don't know what to do with that. You spent years navigating products designed to extract. A product that just works feels almost suspicious. The apartment application comes back in 48 hours. Approved. No conditions, no extra months, no co-signer. Just approved. You stand in your kitchen the night you signed the new lease and you feel something you haven't felt in a very long time. Not happy, not excited, just not braced. For the first time in years, you're not bracing for the thing that's about to go wrong. The muscle you've been holding tense in your chest, the one that never fully relaxed, it loosens, just slightly. That's what 670 feels like. Not winning, just not losing. And after everything, not losing feels like the most important thing in the world. 740. You notice it first in the mail. Pre-approved offers, real ones, 0% balance transfer cards, travel rewards, personal loans at 8%, 7%, sometimes lower. You didn't apply for any of it. They found you. It's a strange feeling being wanted by systems that used to reject you automatically. A little gratifying, a little unsettling, like receiving warmth from someone who was cold to you for years and not knowing whether to accept it or remember why they were cold. The mortgage officer pulls your score and his posture changes. Not dramatically, just the energy in the room shifts slightly. He doesn't slide paperwork in front of you and wait. He pulls up 3 lenders. He explains the differences. He asks about your timeline. You qualify for 6.1%. With some negotiation, 5.9%. You ask if that's the best he can do. He makes a call. You wait. He comes back. 5.85%. You almost laugh. Not because it's funny, because 6 years ago, sitting in a parking lot with a denial letter and a 312 credit score and $0 in savings, you could not have imagined that one day a bank would make a second phone call on your behalf, just to keep your business. At 740, the power has shifted. Not all the way, but enough that you can feel it. 820. The credit card company calls you, not to collect, not to offer you something, to check in. A real person, an account manager. She introduces herself. She's been reviewing your account, 7 years as a customer, and she wanted to personally let you know your limit has been raised to $45,000. And here's a direct line, not the 800 number, her direct line. You thank her, you hang up, and you sit quietly for a moment. You think about the 22-minute hold music, the saxophone, the parking lot, the denial letter. You think about how much warmth a financial institution extends to you is a precise and exact function of how little they need you to have it. At 312, you were a risk. At 820, you're an asset. The bank didn't change. You changed. And now the bank reflects that back to you as if it were kindness. The mortgage process at 820 is frictionless in a way that almost feels wrong. The underwriter barely questions anything. The rate is 5.6%. You ask if there's flexibility. 6 minutes on hold. 5.4%. No points. You got $10,000 off the cost of borrowing by asking one question. You didn't earn that. You don't mean earn in the moral sense. You mean the money saved didn't come from effort in this moment. It came from a number that the system trusts. And trust in finance is the most valuable thing a person can have. The tragedy is how long it takes to build it and how quickly it can be taken. 850. The ceiling. The maximum, the number that exists in articles about credit the way a perfect score on a standardized test exists. Technically possible, rarely achieved, and somehow smaller than it sounds when you finally get there. You check the report on a Wednesday morning. 850. You put your phone down, you make coffee, you go to work. There's no parade, there's no upgrade. The bank doesn't call. The mortgage officer quotes 5.3% instead of 5.4%. The auto dealer's rate doesn't change between 820 and 850 because the system, the real system, the one that actually matters, maxed out at 800. The last 50 points were for you. Proof to yourself, not proof to anyone else. And sitting with the fact that you climb to the absolute top of a number designed by institutions to measure your usefulness to institutions, you feel something complicated. Pride. Real, legitimate pride. You did something hard, over years, without anyone telling you how or cheering you on. And also, a quiet, clear-eyed recognition. The score measures how reliably you repay debt, not how well you live, not how wisely you save, not who you are when no one is watching. Someone with $40,000 in credit card balances, paid perfectly on time, can have this exact score. Someone who saves $3,000 a month in cash, owns their car outright, never borrows, can have no score at all. The metric was never about your flourishing. It was always about their certainty. Go back to the parking lot, the one outside the loan officer's office, the Tuesday afternoon with the denial letter, the hands on the wheel, the engine off, the feeling that didn't have a name. That person sitting in that car, staring at that dashboard, was not broken. They were not a bad risk. They were not irresponsible. They were a human being inside a system that measured them before they had a chance to be measured fairly. And somewhere right now, someone is sitting in that exact same parking lot. Same chair, same too-wide desk, same saxophone hold music, same 4.2-second denial. They will not feel broken. They will feel like the system is broken. They are right. The system was not designed to see people. It was designed to see patterns, to price risk, to protect the institutions that built it. You made it to 850 by learning to speak a language that was never built for you, by paying debts that cost more than they should have, by signing papers you knew were unfair because unfair was the only option available. That's not a character flaw. That's not a success story either. That's just what it costs. To go from a number that says risk to a number that says asset. The number changed. The person was never the problem.